Hey guys, this is Barewire for hsng.com, and this is a short video intended to discuss river leads. Basically what I want to talk about, I guess, over the course of three hand histories is the merits of leading the river both as a bluff and for value. But what I wanted to, I guess, generalize before I got into the hand history is the purpose of leading on every street, but primarily on the river, because that's when I do it the most often. So specifically what I'm talking about is that we took a check call line in the flop, we took a check call line on the turn, and then we lead the river because of the way the board texture changed, or because of the way that our hand changed, or whatever. What we're doing is basically taking advantage of the expected frequency that we think our opponent is going to be betting on that street. So for example, if our opponent c-bets on the flop, he's in position, of course, it's a single raise pot. He c-bets the flop, we call, and then the turn brings like a 3 to a flush or a 4 to a straight or something like that, and we have the straight, or, you know, we have the flush, whatever. And there's going to be hands in his range that we can get 2 streets of value from, or at least specifically we can get a street of value from them on the turn. Maybe like a 2-pair hand or a flush draw hand or a set, something like that, something that'll check behind. And we lead with the intention of getting value from that hand, knowing that we want to get the extra bet if we are able to. The bet that we wouldn't be able to get if we checked on the turn. So the same concept applies to leading on the river. We're going to have a range that basically improves on certain runouts where our opponent's range doesn't improve as well on those runouts. And for that reason, we sort of expect him to check behind with a lot of the hands that we might be able to get value from if we lead. But of course, that sort of depends on being able to convince him that we're bluffing. So what I have here is a couple hands, not only to illustrate the ways that we can use this line for value in situations where we might reasonably be bluffing, but also situations where we can use this line as a bluff to sort of take advantage of the fact that maybe most regs don't expect us to, and it is a situation that primarily is used just as a value bet. So this first hand is on stars, I think. It's a 5-10 game against a fish, about 50 big blinds deep. And we defend Jack-10. The board texture is the type of board texture that basically this concept's going to apply on in general. Just, you know, leading the river, or even leading the turn is going to happen primarily on like 3 to a flush, 3 to a straight type boards. There are some other situations that might come up, like board pairs, that merit the same type of strategy, but I think it's a lot clearer if I just use these board textures as an example. So we check call the flop, and by the way, like the stats are here. It's only 20 hands. We don't know a lot. We just know that our opponent's tight on the button. So like obviously this situation in general, getting bet into on the turn, is really a bad situation for our hand. He's betting cheaply enough that I don't think we can fold, but pretty much one of the reasons that we are getting correct odds to continue here is the fact that when we do improve, we expect to be able to lead. Because I think that if we check called here on the turn, like with no ability to make money from the type of hand, I probably shouldn't have shown his cards, but whatever. Like if we don't have the ability to make money from this type of hand on the river, then I don't think we could even be making a profitable call on the turn. Because with him only opening half his buttons, this range just, or his range just smacks this board. And there's no way that like most fish are going to be double barrel or triple barrel bluffing the situation. So anyways, so yeah, so we get a really good, like, specifically the fact that the flush draw missed here I think helps our case a lot for leading, because in a fish's eyes, like, this board, while being scary for his hand, is just a situation where, like, one of the first things he's going to notice is that the flush draw missed, but at the same time, he doesn't value bet this river with, like, aces, kings, you know, king, queen, the hand he has. Even 2-pair are probably going to check. There's a chance that he would bet with queen, jack or something, but, or like a set of queens, but basically I just think that this is an obvious lead. and we get paid off. So I would never really... I don't think I would ever take this line as a bluff against a fish, just because the way that a fish views his value range, he's not really going to decide to fold because he thinks you improved against his hand. He's just going to call and then chalk it up to bad luck. Because he probably has this sort of mental block that thinks like, oh, well, I can't fold this hand because of how strong it is, like in an absolute sense. So I would never actually try to run this bluff against a fish. Like, even if it was the 9 of diamonds on the river, I think if we led this size and he had aces or maybe even king queen like he has, a lot of times he's just going to call. So specifically, this is the line that I'm taking for value against a fish. And I'm doing it quite often, actually.